Oh, wait, no longer. Greatness has arrived. Welcome to the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. I am your host, Joseph, aka Mr. Badbit, and it is here where me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation. Of course, you can listen to this show wherever you find your podcasts and on YouTube at the Trophy Room Show. And if you like what you hear, please consider dropping us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or if you really, really like us, consider dropping a buck our way over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. So with all that said, and with all that out of the way, the greatest co-host, whoever is, whoever will be, Mr. Kyle Stevenson. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah.
Happy day today. It's a nice little mini E3 before it gets rocking next week. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here on the Trophy Room.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. So for those of you who don't know, we delayed this episode by a day because we, as we'll get into, we're going to be reacting to not only the Dying Light news that just happened, but also the Horizon Zero Dawn gameplay that was just revealed. So not only are we going to be reacting and breaking down what we saw from those two reveals, but we're also going to be talking about the future of the PlayStation due to an investor call that suggests that they're moving away from consoles and into PCs. And we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy Origins, a leaked game by Team Ninja from Square Enix as well. So before we get into all of that, Kyle, usually, I start with the Patreon pitch and all that, but have you seen this, Kyle? The Nathan Drake movie, the Uncharted movie, rather?
The entire film? Yes, I've watched
the entire thing.
Yes, I've seen the still.
Everybody's freaking out that, first off, Mark Wahlberg is Sully, but that he has no mustache. What are your thoughts on Mustache Gate before we even get into all this news? Because this is a hot button issue.
I don't care. I
Where's
really
his
don't.
Mustache? He doesn't have one, Kyle.
Okay, this could be pre-Mustache Sully. I don't know when this takes place in the Uncharted lore. I don't care. I want to see Nathan Drake and Tom Holland, go search for treasures. I don't care about a freaking mustache.
Whoa, all right, okay, pump the brakes. So you're telling me that Sully's mustache has an origin story. Maybe this is the origin story.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Uncharted the movie. The story of Sully's mustache.
the stash. Okay.
The stash. There you
go. From the stills you've seen, when do you think we're getting a trailer for that?
Oh, trailer.
Yeah. They showed us enough things. They've teased us enough.
Summer Game Fest.
You think that's the Summer Games Fest thing?
Possibly.
I
think this summer, at some point, we'll get one. Because
they teased it this winter with the Game Awards. And then nothing happened there. And now we get this shot of Nathan and Sully in this crypt. I have no idea what's going on, but I don't care if Sully has a mustache or not, unlike the internet. I just want to make sure this movie's good. And I have faith in Tom. He's my favorite Spider-Man. I just don't have faith in Mark Wahlberg as a human being and as an actor. So that's where I stand on this whole mustache game.
You're really calling out the Wahlbergs right now on our show?
Yeah, and they're pizza.
I don't know if we can get that. I don't think we can take that heat, Joe. I think we kind of want that. No,
back. He wouldn't send lawyers at us. Like Mark Wahlberg solves problems with his fists. He would beat my face. Probably. I heard you talking smack.
Say hi to your mother for me.
Say hello to your mother for me. Kyle, with that, listen, let's start with breaking down what we saw from Dying Light 2. But before we get right into it, it's time for a Patreon pitch. Of course, I'd like to thank our newest members, Captain Logan and Sean. Thank you all so much for becoming bronze members of the Trophy Room Patreon. Thank you all so much. I want to thank our platinum members, Todd Burwitz and Too Soon, our gold members, Chaotic Monkey, Gavin Gottfried, Griffin West, Jose Jimenez, Jedi, Master Ren, and Metal Kirby. I want to thank our Silver Plus members, Hide Indoors, Marcus O'Neill, it's just Ray, JB the Purple Monkey, Jadis Vaughn Metal, Tim Ulf, Justin Rodriguez, Robbie Bobby Miller, and Awesome Dave, thank you all so much for supporting us. It's the reason why we look so good, why we sound so great. It's reason why the lights are still on this show is because of your support. So if we ever got you through a long car ride, a long day at work, whatever the case may be, it really does help us out if you consider throwing only $1 our way at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. But Kyle, it's time to square up these reactions. We just got back from watching the Dying Light 2 live stream re-reveal, really, because this game was revealed...
Dying to know episode 1, I guess is what they're calling it.
Yeah. Now, we saw this, I think, 2 E3s ago, but this game's gone through a lot of changes, one would assume. Like, they went through, I believe, a creative director and some important team members. And this game is has had a very troubled development. So walking into this live stream, what are your expectations for this game, and were they met in just a little synopsis of?
Sure. Walking in, my main thing was I wanted to see the same kind of world-changing stuff from your decisions in game that they teased at E3 in 2019. And walking out of it, I think I enjoyed what I saw. I think I enjoyed the format of this show. However, I'm not like overwhelmed. I'm not like super hyped on it. I'm just like, okay, this looks like it's going to be a fun time. I think we saw, since we're doing this live on Twitch right now, I think I saw somebody in chat say like, I'm more excited for Back 4 Blood, and I'm kind of on that same kind of train a little bit. Like it looks gorgeous. The parkour thing looks very fun to do and very fluid. It's not knocking my socks off. Okay. And I don't know if we need a second episode to show off more of Dying Light 2.
Really? That's what you came away from? So this it didn't hit all the boxes that you wanted this to.
It hit the boxes, but I don't think we need another episode of the show to sell us more in the game. I think at that point you're just going to learn too much, and it takes away some of that mystery of finding that stuff out on your own kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm so walking in again. I know it's had a troubled development. It's the first game. I didn't get much into it because I'll be honest with you, Kyle. I got to the night parts and I was like, this game is too freaking terrifying. And so, and I pieced out like with the first like red eyes I saw. I was like, oh, maybe I'll play this for friends. Oh no. Oh, this is scary. But yeah, so I was a little bit, a little bit too much of a wuss to try to go back into it. But I'll say this: after seeing the E3 stuff, I was walking and going like, what is it that's changed about this game? Because if it's gone through such a troubled development, I was expecting a totally different looking game. And they said, hey, we left you guys on what you can change about this game. Now let's talk about your choices as a character. So it seems like nothing's really changed in terms of the base idea of what this game is supposed to be. And I'm very interested to see if that pays off or how much is still at the core of that game. It seems like everything's intact, but is that just a facade? Because, someone in our chat, Valerie, said it like, I want to be excited about this game, but Cyberpunk. And that is a really good point when entering what is effectively a marketing tactic to get you hyped for this game. Know that this game has a troubled development, just like Cyberpunk. And that is something to really consider to try to gauge our expectations beforehand. That said, I did write some notes. I don't know if you did too about this game. I did not. Just a little brief snippets here or there. This game takes place. First off, I didn't take any of the major story beats. I want to let that be known. I don't want to spoil this game for anyone. Just a little brief, things of like what's important, but not going to be what I would consider spoilers. So this is 20 years after the first game. And then the next bit of thing is this is a world beyond the apocalypse, which I don't know if this hit really close home. They said virus a lot. They said, plague or pandemic. And like, I'm just like, dude, I'm still locked in my house right now.
Yeah. And I think they said something like, Christmas 2021 is when like the mutations started. Like, whoa, hold on a second.
Stop it right there. Yeah, like that, and like they were building different strains, and like something about like scientists were working on it in a lab. Like, a lot of things hit really close to home here. And I was like, you know what? Good on them, honestly, because you're just like, this is what this is, and I'm sorry that the world sucks right now, but it is what it is. This is what happens in our game. And then you're in the last city of Valador, I believe it's called, and it follows a new player called Aiden. Then they talked about very briefly, which I'll still need like a fact correction thing here. Dying Light Platinum Edition. They said it's $100 value. Now, Afro Cyborg said in the chat that it was at $25 and it comes with all the DLC. That being said, they talk about this city being broken up into 3 different factions. I won't go into the factions' names because I wasn't able to write them down. But your choices impact who is going to be ruling this city.
Yeah, the 3 factions are basically, I believe there were saviors, people who are gardening on the rooftop and trying to making safe zones in the city. Then you have, I believe it's the freedoms or peacekeepers, or it's like the militaristic gang who are all about law and order and making sure people are doing basically like the cops of the police force of this new world. And then it's just like the seedy underbelly, which I forgot what their names are, but they were maybe the Night Seekers. Is that what it was?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Who are just trying to like.
Those are like the base faction that's here to help everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, basically it's like an underground gang that's really trying to take the city for themselves. So those are the 3.
Yeah. And then also your choices impact them. So it's kind of like the morality system there, because each have their own set of codes and faults. And then also your choices impact the main cast of who lives and who dies. Before we talk about the traversal, this is a 4-player co-op game, Kyle. So I get to jump in your world, you can jump into mine. This is really awesome. This is something that I know I'm going to need when we're traversing through the night because it was crazy. So the one thing that I want to take from Jedi Master Ren, who wrote into the chat, parkour feels fluid like Mirror's Edge. And then the developers talk about how there's 3,000 parkour animations in this game. So if y'all don't know, like the basis of Dying Light, this zombie game, is that during the day, you just have the crawling zombies. They're few and far between. Dying Light 2 very much plays with the idea that you're also fighting these gangs during the day, which, Kyle, the combat looked awesome. It's kind of what I wish, like, I don't know, Resident Evil Village kind of took after, where like I'm a bit more, it's a very action focus, of course, melee weapon focus, but it's more about your dodging and also parkouring while you're fighting all these enemies. And like you had like a Mortal Kombat Scorpion get over here weapon. You're like, you have like spears that you could like just literally like whip out your backpack and just throw them at folks. Like there's a lot of interesting weaponry in this game that you get to create. What was it about the combat that looked interesting to you? Because that's where we really lit up at.
It looked so fluid. It looked smooth. I like seeing the damage to the enemies happen like in real time. Like the amount of blood that would spray off when you are slicing through these enemies with these rudely created like size and axes with like whatever scrap you can find. I really dig that. I dig that it still feels fluid and smooth, just like the parkour moving through the city does. So like it's I'm assuming you feel like you are just like you're nothing but water. Like you're so easy to evade and attack and swift and quick. Like I really, really dig that. really quick before we move too far away from
Sure.
it, I wanted to just double check about the Platinum Edition thing. It is now also $25 on PlayStation.
Awesome.
On the
I'll
PSN.
definitely be picking this up.
It's until June 11th is that
Okay.
price discount. So it's $25 on Xbox, on PlayStation, the Platinum Edition that has all the DLC. So that's way better than $100. So if you're interested in it, pick it up before the 11th.
Yeah. I definitely just might, because this game really sold me on this game. I didn't think it would. I really liked what I saw. Like, the combat was definitely up my alley. The parkour, which is something that you were frustrated about in the first game. It seems a lot more like what Jedi Master Ren said, fluid.
I just hope it's easier to pull off
and
not be janky. I remember trying to like land on a small surface and it would never work. You have to be like so precise, and it kind of took away from that fluid parkour feeling when you have to really be precise of landing on what they're clearly telling you can go and do this thing, but it's so hard to land on this part of this platforming puzzle. Like, I hope it fixes a little bit and it's easier to get into.
Yeah. And when it comes to parkour, that's what I'm hoping as well. It seemed that way as well. And like the zombies, they talked about it, first off, they call them monsters. They're zombies. All right.
Yeah.
End all be all. But they talk about how they've changed and evolved. So these infective are not just like, there's reasons as to why they are the way they are. There were a creepy, spooky one that had like spider legs in the back. One that's like chest opened up, but it's like its lips or something weird. Fucking crazy looking monsters. God, just the game looks so. First off, the zombies look so scary. The world itself looks beautiful, though. Like in this overgrown way, akin to a Last of Us. How the Last of Us looks beautiful in all of its garbage that surrounds the world. There was
a shot of the city where like you can see how bright and colorful it is above the overpass, but underneath it's like dark and grungy, and that shot reminded me of like Pittsburgh in Last of Us Part 1. And I was like, oh, okay, I dig this. I love being in a city setting that is overrun by nature, and that's just really the post-apocalyptic setting kind of thing. I really dig that.
Yeah. Even what Jedi Master Ren says, it's kind of like, Horizon Zero Dawn in that way as well.
Yeah.
I could draw those parallels perfectly. I really like the open world look. Also, they talk about this game is massive. They won't like specify how massive, but they said it's not just about horizontal landscapes. It's also about verticality. They say the way to escape the zombies is to get on the rooftops of these skyscrapers. And so it was just, it was a really awesome backdrop that they set for this game that I'm really excited about. And to have things like 4-player co-op so that I could be chilling with my friends playing this game with them, that has me completely on board. I think this game has a sort of post-apocalyptic Mad Max sort of vibe in some areas that just I'm completely on board with. So I'm really interested in this game. The last bit of news is that it releases on December 7th, 2021. So good for them. Hopefully that sticks.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I came off actually really high on it, and you're still, even after this conversation, you're like,
I'm still probably going to get it and play it. It just, it's not like going to run straight to GameStop to go pre-order the game.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a wait and see kind of thing. But it looks gorgeous. I'm excited to see what it looks like on my PlayStation 5 and how well it runs and whatnot.
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't think they specified what this was running on, so this could be just a very high-end PC, but I'm really excited to check this out on PS5. With that's been our reactions, our breakdown from Dying Light 2. Now, Kyle, it's the moment we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
Let's break down Horizon Forbidden West. So before we break down what we just saw with Horizon Forbidden West, I want to preface this because I feel like we've gone full circle here. This show would not happen if it wasn't for Horizon Zero Dawn. And so getting to sit with a bunch of community members that I call friends and watching the sequel to this game that started it all for this show is something that is just, it's like coming full circle. So thank you all so much for being a part of the show, whether you've just joined last week or 2 weeks or 2 years. It really does mean a lot. So thank you all so much. With that, I want to kind of set the stage for you here, Kyle, in the audience of what area we're walking into. So Horizon Forbidden West, it seems like, is taking place in San Francisco, and the area itself is actually kind of reminiscent. And I know it's a PlayStation podcast, but it kind of feels a lot like the beginning of Halo 3, where you're in the jungle. Everything is just lush, tropical. And they address one of the big issues that a lot of people had with the original game, which was the facial animations in Horizon 1. If it was anyone that was an Aloy, generally didn't look that great. Right off the bat, Kyle, take it away. You're the one that noticed the animations. What were your thoughts of all the facial work that you saw here?
Oh my god, it's so much better. Even in Aloy's face, like they feel like actual, real, living human beings. Especially with talking with the NPCs at the beginning there. Like, it wasn't that, it didn't feel or it didn't look like their mouths were moving unnaturally like they did in the first game. That was one of the big issues animation-wise. Like, this one, it looks like they've learned from that mistake and really kind of worked on it as much as they possibly can. The characters talking to each other, just in general, looks so much better.
Yeah.
And right after that, the other thing I noticed was just like the same thing I noticed from the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart last state of play thing that they did. It's just how damn colorful this game is. Like, I love a game that isn't shy with using its colors, and there are multiple moments in this where I'm like, I can see every kind of color on this one picture in front of me, I love that.
Yeah, like the her just stepping out away from the cinematic that was playing, and you just see like she's surrounded by like this waterfall, and you're seeing the blues and then the mist hit like the air, and you just see all the particle effects at the same time. Like, the earth around you is just so lush with like, you know, like tall grass, shrubbery, and all these things in the world around you, mixed with the red that they're using for the tall grass and for some of the blight that we've seen. Yeah, like there's deep greens, reds, blues. The palette is just all types of color. Even like to the hue of like the robots that we see here, right? Yeah. And I'm just gonna classify them Dinobots. That's an original term that I coined.
It was like for one of the raptors early on when they got real close to Aloy. Like the jaw, when the sun shined on it, it like turned like a bluish, like turquoise teal, like in the chin area. I'm like, man, so good.
The lighting as well is just phenomenal. This is off of PlayStation 5 as well. You could see all the pores, like the blush on her cheeks, like everything is just, it's so freaking lifelike.
When she's underwater and you can see her hair kind of flowing in the water current, like it would in real life. Like, Guerrilla Games.
What are you doing?
You one-upped yourself.
Yeah.
I can't believe this is the same studio that made dark and dreary Killzone.
Right? And just speaking of the animation work off of Aloy that we see, like what we're looking at right now, the drapes that are on her skirt, like, and the pouches are all moving with her, and like as the fabric would. And her hair, the first thing that we picked apart was how the hair moves. It's just that what you think hair would move like, which is just, again, animation work, the world, we didn't need convincing that it could be more beautiful. But it is. She also has a scanner ability. This is something that I really like. So it'll show you what you're climbing on. So most video games, they'll give you like a white line or like a yellow line, and you'll be like, oh, I could climb that wall. I could climb this piece of rock or whatever. This one, no, you don't have any of those tells. You have to scan the environment, kind of like the Batman Arkham scanners. And it'll scan, oh, this is the ledge that I could climb. It's awesome. It looks really clean. I really like that. And it does add a little bit to that world as well. And yeah, the way her hair moves underwater is just astounding. And I know we sound like complete fanboys, and I get it, but this is a PlayStation podcast, so slow your roll. But like, this kind of screams to me like The Incredibles. Remember when people were freaking out about that animation in that movie with hair and how it reacted to water? That's the same thing I'm getting here. Even the pools of fish move like pools of fish would. I just noticed that right now. Absolutely stunning, Kyle.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And it looks like from the combat side of things, like everything that we've experienced in the first game, it just looks like it's there and more. Like, you saw the sling pouch she used for a little bit, including like that new sticky grenade thing that kind of glued the elephant down. It looks like they are just giving us more tools to play with. I'm very happy with that. They mentioned you can upgrade all the weapons like in a workbench in the game, so that's super awesome. I would love to know what those bars on the bottom right are. Obviously, one is health. And I can't imagine what the other one would be. Stamina?
Perhaps. That's a good idea.
She's not using. She doesn't use magic, right? Or maybe the slowdown. Maybe that's the bar for the slowdown effect when you zoom in.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Also, the UI incredibly clean, because I'm just realizing it now what you're trying to tell me, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're not wrong.
Also,
there's not a lot going on.
It's a little weird that it's bottom right.
Yes.
Because usually it's upper left or bottom left. But yeah, there's still so many other questions of like, is there like a central hub, right? How big is that central city like in the first game is? And how many exactly different biomes are we getting?
Right. Because you pointed it out. I think it was known. I think it just reoccurred to us. Yeah. But we're in San Francisco. We saw the trolleys and all that. Let's get to the combat real fast. It's not like a departure. It's very much like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But just adding a little extra depth in terms of fighting human AI, which was always kind of boring here. This one, it seems like it's adding a little extra depth and complexity to the melee and to the range fights. So, like, we're fighting this big giant dude with a hammer. You're seeing that Aloy, to kind of get space from him, she puts like this little, like, I guess, charge in her staff, and she literally, it's like a shotgun wave blast, and just makes a separation between her and the target. And then with that, she's able to shoot him with arrows, or she's like doing air attacks mid-air with the spear, and then she literally drop kicks him, and while in midair, starts shooting arrows at him.
Yeah,
a lot more
and
depth.
in addition to what you would face like in the robot dinosaurs, even now the human enemies, you can actually now shoot off shields and armor to access weak points, because I think during that fight with that big guy, you were knocking off like armor plates from him and opening some weaknesses there. So I love that is now also to the humans, because like you said, the humans in the first game were the weakest part as far as like enemies would go. You kind of would, or at least how I would play, you would find a faraway spot and just snipe them off and pick them off one by one when you're trying to free their, I forgot what they were called, like rebel encampments or something in the first game, and I would just stay far away and just pick them off. But here it actually looks like there's some difference between them, and there's a lot more strategy.
And I hate giving this person credit, you know this, but Luke Lore over at the Xbox Expansion Pass decided to be a traitor and come and watch with us. And he said in chat that very much gave him Uncharted vibes in terms of like, you know, level design. And I kind of agree. Like it was very much the one thing that I really liked from this was it was showing the failures of the first game or what people think the faults were of the first game, like facial animation. Okay, well look at how beautiful everything looks. Like the close-up shots of Aloy as well are just mind-boggling beautiful. And this is being streamed, by the way. Like the stream's looking at a 1080p quality thing. And so like I can't wait to put this on my 4K TV. At the same exact time, they're like, hey, let's try to not reinvent, but let's try to evolve the climbing mechanics, add a grapple. They've done that. And then human combat. It looks like there's a lot, it's a lot more in depth. The things that they needed to prove, they absolutely proved it. And they took a little thing from a game, I don't know if you heard of this, called Fortnite. You got a glider in it. You got a little glider. Jump from high points, 100 Aloys, fall into San Francisco. I'm sure Guerrilla's
like, you know what this game needs? A little bit of Fortnite in it. Yeah.
Dude, yes. Absolutely. Again, we go back to the Dino bots again. I coined it. You got to ride this Velociraptor looking thing. It's absolutely bonkers. And then we get to the boss fight, which is one of the mammoths, and you're seeing all those guys with bows and arrows shooting off of them. And you get to see evolved gameplay of what it's like to take down one of these big giant mechs. The fucked up thing is, when the mammoth shoots at the raptor you're riding, kills it, this thing dies like it's a real animal. And it kind of made me a little sad because I just bonded with it. That being said, you're able to grapple onto buildings as it's just breaking them, ramming into walls. You have a slingshot that kind of cements them in place while, you know, your buddy's shooting mortars at it. Classic, what makes this game so great when we were fighting, you know, things like the Thunderjaw are just, again, more evolved here. I got no words. Just really freaking awesome to see if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and adding or fixing the things that were wrong with the previous game. They're really tackling those issues. It's really like they listened to fan feedback, the good and the bad, and they're taking what works and again, getting rid of what doesn't. And, just seeing how this boss fight works out and seeing you rip apart the armor from this behemoth and just seeing like, you know, the archers get blown away, eviscerated by one of the cannons that you shoot at these things, and just seeing how everything falls apart. Remarkable. And the only thing that I think of, Kyle, is how is this going to run on a PlayStation 4?
If Last of Us Part 2 can run on a PlayStation 4, I think this can too. Yeah. Real quick, Guerrilla tweeted out, we don't have an exact release date yet, but development is on track and we'll have an update for you very soon. So I would imagine
after
whatever
Ratchet,
the E3 or whatever the E3 show is, we'll get a date there.
Okay. That being said, we've talked enough about Horizon and singing its praises. Is there anything you think that we missed? Anything you want to... Last words? Cutting remarks?
No. Okay. No last words or anything. I'm just... I'm more excited to see, again, physical video game person over here. Give me a collector's edition. I want the steelbook. I want the statue of that giant elephant, maybe. I don't know. Just give me something to add to the shelves over there, please.
Yeah, this is again, it means a lot. It's kind of like coming full circle. So there's no way we were going in this not gonna sing its praises, because this
absolutely.
This was my game of the year for what is it, 2017. I got a lot of crap for it because everybody's like Breath of the Wild. No. It's Horizon, and just seeing what they've done to it so far is just, it's awesome. I have faith in Guerrilla.
Absolutely.
That said, Kyle, we have one more game that you really want to talk about.
I don't really want to talk about it. I think we should, because it is newsworthy.
Sonic stuff.
Yeah. It's fun. It was a fun thing. So Sonic Central was like a Sonic celebration of the anniversary earlier today. Granted, I'm not the biggest Sonic fan. I would not even call me a fan of Sonic, even in general. But the Sonic Central thing was fun. You got a Sonic Colors remake or remaster called Sonic Colors Ultimate. I've heard that game is actually quite good from the Sonic fans. You get a Sonic Origins a collection. I think Sonic 1 through 3, and then Sonic CD and Sonic and Knuckles, I believe, is part of that. So that's super cool. Sonic is popping up in other Sega games like Lost Judgment, which you can play like an arcade game. Sonic Fighters inside of it. He's a character in 2 Point Hospital. You can also play as a guy wearing a Sonic mascot costume in the Olympic Games in Tokyo, which is fantastic. I love the visual of that because it's really funny. And then like some really crazy merch of like a Encyclopedia, which is like all the lore in Sonic. You have blinged out chains with Sonic characters on it to appeal to the hip hop genre of fans.
That's what they said. That's not what we said. That's not what we said. And
they said.
And by the way, we do not endorse it.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Very weird choosing over there, Sega.
Yeah.
And it ended on a really short teaser for a brand new Sonic game that's coming out in 2022. Again, I'm tired of these very short just title things where you don't really know anything else about the game.
Yeah.
I feel like they were rushing to get something out, and that's all they could do. I'd rather wait. Because then we're waiting on like the Metroid Prime 4 and the Bayonetta 3 and the last night was like the Dragon Quest event. Like the Dragon Quest 12 thing was just a logo. So, dope logo. But I want to see more of the game. Instead of just a logo piece. But yeah, Sonic was, if you're a Sonic fan, go watch it. I'm sure you'll dig it a lot more than us. But
yeah, I am excited for Sonic Colors because that was legitimately a good game, unlike most Sonic games. And I'm here to tell you this once and for all. This Sonic, and I hate to use this word, mania that's going around, I don't believe in it. And Sonic is this close from joining words like banger in the banned words in the trophy room.
No, banger is here to stay. You know what was a banger? That State of Play was a banger. I should have mentioned that earlier. Straight up, AAA banger right there.
God damn, I need a new co-host. So here's the thing. So before we get into the second half of the show, there was some breaking news that broke this morning I feel like we should talk about. And this is undoubtedly going to be the longest trophy room episode, so buckle in. You're in for a treat of a week. That is that this tweet comes from Randy Pitchford. Good news or bad news first? Good news. An update for Borderlands 3 has been prepared for release that includes full crossplay support across all platforms. Bad news. For certification, we have been required by the publisher to remove crossplay support for PlayStation consoles. Kyle, a few weeks ago, we learned with the Apple v. Epic case that PlayStation requires publishers, developers to pay for crossplay. There's specific fees as well for crossplay. They are the only publisher that does this, platform that does this. Ironically, I think we said a few weeks ago, well, if it don't impact us, well, who cares? Well, a few weeks have gone by, and now it impacts us because we don't get crossplay, a game that very much needs it. I want to know what your thoughts on this issue is, man, because I know you're a big Fortnite Borderlands guy, so yeah. I want to know where your head's at with the whole crossplay thing.
I mean, I don't know if I'm the go-to
Also, this
person.
is an assumption, by the way. Dano in chat, you're definitely right here. It's definitely an assumption. We're assuming because PlayStation implements a system like this that the publisher won't pay it, ergo crossplay isn't a thing.
Sure.
I'm trying to connect dots. So take it away, Kyle.
I don't know if I'm the best person to answer this when it comes to the Borderlands fandom because I usually play the game by myself, solo. Mm-hmm. So crossplay is not a huge issue for me, but crossplay has been such a good thing for the last couple of years for PlayStation, and it's an added benefit for anyone who plays games on that system. So to hear that this game that is all about really co-oping with your friends and playing through and taking on the land of Pandora and the other planets and stuff, like, it's a bummer. It sucks that they can't put it in for whatever reasons may be, because I think crossplay should be in that game. I mean, crossplay should be a thing in all games, if I'm totally honest. And the fact that there are still barriers to this thing is really annoying.
Yeah.
Again, saying as a single player person, like, it's really annoying. Just get it done.
Yeah. It is infuriating because I thought we were over this at this point, right?
Yeah.
And again, if this is on Sony, sure. And I get it, as a business, if I'm Sony, there is no point for me to just open up everything for other platforms. I get that argument, but as the gamer who doesn't care about their bottom line, that this isn't going to make or break them, it's aggravating to see. So I could connect the dots, and I, for one, think, yeah, Sony's kind of in the wrong here. If that is the case. If it's something that's a glitch on their end, sure, but it screws us over, the PlayStation gamer, who, like, for me, I could play my games on my Xbox, and that's fine, and I could probably even have an easier time doing it with some of the crossplay games, but I choose not to because I really do like this ecosystem. But choices like this make me go, okay, maybe for my multiplayer games, I'll ditch my DualSense for an Xbox controller, although I very much prefer my DualSense. So it's decisions like these that do make me question my support of PlayStation 100% when it comes to multiplayer games, for sure. And again, this is also Randy Pitchford saying these things as well, which Randy Pitchford is known to be a bit of a liar and doesn't treat his employees very well, as we've heard.
Joe froze.
You know, it
Joe
sucks. It also sucks that it took 2 years for this game to have that support.
Uh-oh.
And I also think, yep, everything just crashed. Kyle, are you here? Kyle? Hello?
Oh, there we go.
Hi.
You froze on me for a solid 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, I saw as I went on my rant. So, yeah, to make a very long story short, it's a bummer, and PlayStation really needs to get on track with everyone else. If even Nintendo seemingly doesn't have a problem with this, you shouldn't have a problem with this either, man. You know, everybody's going down this road, and if more PlayStation fans feel like they're being left out in the cold when it comes to multiplayer games, they're not going to be playing on your platform for very much longer. That sucks, you know? I don't know. That's just how I feel. And I felt like it just needed to be addressed as we get into the second part of the show. But Kyle, what a great live reaction. What a not so great news story from Randy Pitchford. I do hope that in the future, that future games don't have this problem like Borderlands did. That's all I'll have to say when we close out. That's it, Kyle. It's onward to the second part of the show. Let's do it. Well, Kyle, I hope future Joe and Kyle had fun there with all those live reacts. But now, welcome to the second half of the show where we got some breaking news as of recording this show. So let's not waste any time. It's time to square up the news, Kyle.
From Wesley Yin Poole from over at Eurogamer, Wesley writes, Sony exploring the mobile market with some wonderful PlayStation franchises. As part of a corporate strategy meeting held today, May 26th, Jim Ryan, president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, confirmed the plan, saying, quote, we have been thinking about how players enjoy our content and have had some early success with experimenting with mobile games and apps to provide more choice to gamers. Mobile is just one of the areas we are exploring to reach millions of gamers beyond our platforms. PlayStation has a huge catalog of diverse first-party IP that can transition to smartphone gaming and complement our AAA games or live service games. We are exploring the mobile market with some wonderful PlayStation franchises, so please stay tuned, end quote. Sony already has a mobile publishing label called PlayStation Mobile Incorporated, which has published the likes of the PlayStation app, the PS Remote Play app, Endless Runner, Run Sackboy Run, top-down puzzle game Uncharted Fortune Hunter, AR app God of War Mimir's Vision, and a handful of PlayStation 4 PlayLink titles such as Supermassive's Hidden Agenda and Flavorworks' Erica. And then in an update from Daniel Ahmad.
And I just want to say before you get into the Daniel Ahmad tweet, this is breaking as we were recording this segment here. So he has some really big updates. This was from an investor call. All this breakdown of sales to even some of their future plans and what may hold for the future of PlayStation. There's a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of things that we had thoughts that were leading into this direction. And now we have more proof that that's the case. So Kyle, take it away, good sir.
Sony just released its IR Day presentation for the games and services segment. Some notable parts on the strategy to grow the PlayStation gaming business. PlayStation is currently the most profitable it has ever been.
So full stop right there.
Yep.
One sec. Most profitable it's ever been. A lot of people, we've been worried, right? Where's the direction of PlayStation? Is Microsoft, in fact, eating their lunch? And it's awesome to see that PlayStation is in a better place than it was today that when they launched the PlayStation 4. So it's really awesome to see. They even had a cool little slide that kind of brought it into perspective of like, here's what their lead IP were in the launch of the generation. You saw like, Knack, you saw Shadowfall, you saw a whole bunch of 7s there. And then they showed Miles Morales, they showed Demon Souls, they showed Returnal, and you're seeing all these 8s and 9s and all these really solid experiences. And that's telling their investors like, look, these IP are stronger than ever. In our base catalog, the games that we know are going to be heavy hitters, look what we got. We have Uncharted, we have God of War, we have Horizon. And so it's awesome to see that right now, IP-wise, PlayStation knows as well as its investors, as well as we do, they're in a really great place IP-wise. So again, take it away, Kyle.
Some additional key points to that. PS5 sell-in during the first fiscal year is higher than sell-in for prior PlayStation consoles. Sony is targeting 50% plus market share in consoles with the PS5. Free-to-play is a key driver of PlayStation Store consumer spend, now 25% of total PlayStation Store revenue, and subscriptions is another key driver, providing value-added services to console gamers. And then some other new growth vectors for Sony include, do you want to add something, Joe, before I continue?
No, you know what? I wanted to ask you, and I'm sorry it's on me because, again, we had to change the notes and we're kind of working on the fly here.
No worries.
Anything that's striking you? Because, like, I had that nice little rant that PlayStation's the best it's ever been. But reading along here, is there anything that strikes you as interesting or something to note?
I mean, as I'm reading this and I'm hearing Jim Ryan just say, oh, yeah, the mobile market is untapped and bring gaming to complement our AAA games, and I just had to grab this blue, beautiful little handheld that could have been the solution, Jim, but you didn't support it, and I'm saying this is on you because you're in charge now. I mean, even though it was after the Vita's downfall.
Yeah.
You could have supported this, and this could have been your mobile thing right here, the Vita for audio listeners who aren't watching the video.
It's
portion.
that bury a cop.
It never. But like I think the craziest thing out of this is that 25% of the total PlayStation Store revenue comes from free to play games. Like
I think that's just code for Fortnite.
Well, yeah, Fortnite and like including now with like I know MLB The Show is racking up tons of money for buying all those stubs to get in-game packs for the Diamond Dynasty and whatnot. So that's huge. That a quarter of all their revenue from PSN Store is just from free-to-play microtransactions, and that's pretty crazy.
Well, I was in a conversation with our good friend of the show, Ainsley from Season Gaming, and he was just like, this is the future that we've been talking about. It's going to be on their services front. It's going to be from the microtransactions. And there even shows a graph of like, here's where the bulk of our profit comes from. And it's the bulk of it is their services like PlayStation Now, like PlayStation Plus, but also the microtransactions they get from games like MLB The Show, which is actually a bullet point coming up ahead. So, I gotta say, it surprises me too because the Days of Play sale is upon us, and since I own most of those games already, it's kind of just a fond look back for me of like, man, Last of Us Part 2 was a really great game. And I even put out a tweet seeing Ghosts on sale for $40, which if you haven't already somehow buy that game of like, I'm thinking of all these amazing IP that PlayStation has and that they're proud of as well. And then saying and thinking, yeah, those are the games that are just making the bank for Sony. They don't have to rely on microtransactions. But
yeah, it's not a huge money getter, but seeing how robust Dreams is, and right now currently it's only $10 on the store.
Yeah,
like that is a big, meaty, beefy product that you can really lose yourself in, and for only $10, that's a great deal.
And I think it's like it's titles like not so much Dreams, but like titles like Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us and God of War, that it's the things that get you into the ecosystem. It's those IP, and then it's the free to play games like Fortnite that are really just printing the cash for PlayStation. So yeah, I take a look at the mobile thing too of, you know, we talked about it a few weeks ago. How are you really going to do this? How is this like, are these the quick little cash grabs like we all think of the Uncharted mobile game, but are you going to have memorable experiences here? Because if I'm just playing like God of War Bejeweled and I'm just tossing axes at jewels to break them, like cool, I'll play that, but like I'm not. But like that, I want something of substance, right?
I think what we came to, what we would love to see from that when we talked about it a few weeks ago, was like a PS All Stars kind of thing, like that Marvel mobile app where you can get heroes and you can build them up and level them up and get new skills and whatnot. Like I think that'd be cool.
But
it does bum me out, but I think if you're gonna go mobile, I would love it to be like a celebration of all of PlayStation.
Yeah.
Instead of just having these like copy and paste style of games like Run Sackboy Run, which is an endless runner, and the Fortune Hunter thing, which is like a top down puzzle thing. Like, I don't need another version of a game I've played 50,000 times.
Sure.
Give me something that celebrates PlayStation instead of like a copycat of something that I already have on my phone, probably.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair. And again, like we'll talk about it in a sec. So, you know what? Actually, I'll save that point for later. Let's get to the next bullet point, because that one's really good.
More games are coming to PC and reaching PC-heavy markets. Now,
on this slide that they showed investors, they showed Days Gone, which is right now currently on Steam, doing really well as well.
That's awesome.
Peak concurrent, I believe, friend of the show, Benji, said it was around 54,000 people playing that at once. So awesome to see that game get some legs. Either though, like we know, it's probably not getting a sequel. So awesome to see that game still doing well. And here's the surprise here, Kyle. Everybody thought, you know, next game down the list is God of War. That's coming to PC. Mm-hmm. Does not seem to be the case, because the game that they have here is Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. How does that strike you? What do you think the price point of this game would be?
Ooh, price point wise.
Because this game's super old. You could get it for probably,
you know,
$10-$20 at this point, depending on if it's like one of the, again, days of play.
I think they've made as much money as they possibly can on PlayStation with that title. I don't think you're going to be making millions of dollars from people that haven't already played it, especially since it was on PS Plus not that long ago as one of the games. And again, it's a massive game, one of PlayStation's best and biggest IPs. So most people bought it day one. I think you could sell it for like $40 and just be happy with what you get, because like any additional money from a game you've already made a ton on is a plus. It's not a negative.
I would be okay if they sold it for, and hear me out before anybody starts throwing spears at my face here. But I would be okay if it sold at 40 or 50 if they included not just the multiplayer but Lost Legacy, the superior title. Okay. I'd be all right with that. And also, they want to expand into PC, and this is a reason that I don't think we've really talked about on the show. But it seems like one of their main focus, at least into investors, why they want to go into the PC market, is to expand in more targeted countries. So the big push here is in China, over 254 million, I believe, PCs that they could tap into. They got the Russian Federation. If you don't know what that is, that's Russia. That they could peel into on PC, and even Iran, our sworn enemy. PlayStation's working with them. Oh no, freedom and American democracy, all that jazz. So like those are tons of markets that aren't necessarily console heavy that PlayStation's looking at it going, well, we could just throw our IP here and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've beat this horse to death at this point. More people get to play these games.
It's a big win for everyone involved.
I could already just imagine the Twitter meltdown by those, and I hate to use this word. I hate it, but like the Sony ponies out there that like this is they broke their desk over learning that, what was it? That Horizon was coming to PC. Someone broke their desk, and all you saw was heard was heavy breathing, like the guy was obviously crying, and his room's destroyed. It's like, this is what you made me do, Sony. It's like, no, actually, it's your nerd rage and your lack of friends that did that one, buddy. So.
It's still to this day when I see somebody get upset over a console and turn into like console war, excuse my language, bullshit. I oh my god, I literally probably said the F word not that long ago on this show. On the live react, I probably said it. But it blows my mind that people aren't excited for more people to experience that game, and in turn falling in love with the franchise and showing PlayStation that there is a room for future installments of this game.
Yeah.
Like, so you can continue being a fan and getting new things with these characters in these worlds that you love. But just because it's on not a box that you don't have or that you think is just yours and only yours, get upset. Like, I just don't understand that mentality.
It's sad and pathetic. That's what the mentality.
Yeah.
Games are amazing. And here on the Trophy Room, we want to celebrate the developers first and foremost. And this is the best way to do that. So, yeah, like, honestly, real talk, if the Days Gone on PC numbers improve or do even better or whatever, or hit their, whatever goal they needed to hit and then some, who knows if PlayStation turns around going, you know what? Maybe we'll do a Days Gone 2. You know, like, maybe there's evidence here that we didn't see before. So,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, this could breathe not just new life into an already, established IP, but could breathe new light into a game that wouldn't be on this platform otherwise.
Yeah.
I know. Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Let's get the next talking point out of here.
Next one is develop live service titles on console. Expand accessibility via cloud gaming too. PS Now has 3.2 million subs now.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Awesome to see. Also, the PlayStation Plus is at 47 million. Because they said it's like a combined total of around 50 million. So PlayStation Plus continues to grow. PlayStation Now continues to kind of just be there. And yeah, they want to expand into cloud gaming as well. So you see the need, you see the want, you see them partner again with people like Microsoft, and saying, hey, so can we have your cloud architecture? And them going, okay, can we have your transistors or whatever it is, and them making those deals to make this possible. So it goes to this next point of the key being communicated here is that PlayStation is extending beyond the console. All right, PlayStation fans, sit your butts down. Let Uncle Joe talk to you here. Everything's gonna be okay. They said this comes from the little graph here. New growth vectors beyond the console. Transformation from PlayStation's current console-centric ecosystem to a future where large elements of our community exist beyond the console. And they show this graph of these circles that all point to the PlayStation logo of services, games, web/apps, commerce plus store, input output. I don't know what that one means, to be honest. Other devices, mobile, and console and network services. So there's the 8 points that they're saying beyond the console. So when it says other services or other devices, that means mobile. That means they're mobile games, and who knows, maybe we get a remote play that's more substantial than what we have. When they talk about those web plus apps, I think that's also speaking to those mobile devices, those mobile apps that we're going to probably see in the near future. Games as well coming to PC. That makes sense to us, at least. And when it comes to network and services, this very much hints that PlayStation, not even hints, kind of tells PlayStation really wants to keep propelling PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. And this is interesting, because this is the first time PlayStation's really seemed to go out of their way saying, we want to do this. We want to do this, and we want to expand outside the ecosystem. And that's, honestly, Kyle, that's promising to me. I want to know what your thoughts on this are, because we got a lot of people going, if PlayStation does this, what does it mean to be a PlayStation player? And to me, it's like, well, if PlayStation, all they're doing is trying to sell consoles, right? We see that the ceiling is 115 million consoles, right? And that is a capped growth at this point. We've seen that they can hit, maybe if it's the PS2, 150 million, but you see with the PS4, PS3, and all that, the ceiling's around the 120 mark. If they're looking at their competition, that is Xbox, and seeing them say, okay, we're going past consoles and into phones and into tablets and into, low-end PCs and all this. Well, if PlayStation's then just stagnant at this point, and if that ceiling is just capped at that 100, well, then they can't make more money off those IP. So, yeah, it's just letting your competition grow and you just stagnate. So, to me, this makes perfect sense. It's something that I actually like from my Xbox experience, and something that I'd like to see come from PlayStation. I'd like to know your thoughts, Kyle.
Yeah, I think it's only going to be a good idea if they grow and do that kind of stuff, where we get a Game Pass like thing on PlayStation. Granted, I don't think they need to put first party stuff on there right away, or day and date kind of thing. But yeah,
that's going to happen though one day, you think?
I would think so, but I don't know. I don't know about it yet, honestly. I don't know if they'll do that or not.
Do you think
because
that would
people are buying the game regardless?
Experience? Like, do you think that?
I don't think it'll hinder the experience whatsoever. But I just feel like I don't think they feel the need to, because people are buying the games regardless.
Okay, I think it's going to happen in the next 5 years. You will see all first party games being on whatever platform they could be on.
Sure,
that's what I honestly think. I think you're seeing them test the waters with Horizon and Days Gone, and Uncharted makes sense because they were hiring someone that focuses on NVIDIA PCs and so like, or PC architecture. So like, you can see them kind of hint that they're going this way. This is just the testing waters. Once they get everything down, that they're going to be PC on PlayStation on day one.
Sure.
Again, I think in the next 5 years. Maybe I'm crazy and out of my mind, but that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but I think as looking at this, the new growth vectors stuff that they're talking about, again, I'm not good at this technical business
Jargon.
person speak. Jargon. Yeah. But like, I'm looking specifically at like the cloud graph or the image. I don't know if you have that one up there.
I do.
But like seeing PlayStation Now grow over 1 million subscribers in a year, which is huge, because that was floundering on the chart. Like it only went up a couple 100,000, and then within the past fiscal year, it jumped over 1 million users. And then over here, I find very interesting with like the service updates for PS Now, where they're doing $1 for a month promotion,
right?
The 1080p streaming,
right?
And then they have on here the logos of Horizon and Spider-Man Miles Morales, Horizon Forbidden West, as it graphed within the cloud stuff. So like, they're clearly integrating cloud with the bigger first party stuff. I don't know if this means they're coming on PS Now at some point in the future or whatnot, but they're listening. They see what they need to do to evolve, and they're making those steps to continue making PlayStation the best place to play.
Yeah. I would say, in all fairness, compared to the growth of Game Pass, not great.
Oh,
Game Pass
no.
is like $1 million a month.
No.
It's nuts.
They will never catch Game Pass in
No?
terms of like users and whatnot because they
Our
don't have
audience
that
hates you
day
right
and
now,
date
Kyle.
thing.
Our audience hates you. They want to say only
They
nice
don't
things.
hate me. They don't. How many of our audience actually has PS Now?
Yeah.
I guarantee you, not very many.
It's true.
Like,
I still need to cancel my PlayStation now that I'm mentioning it. Yeah.
It will never catch Game Pass until, like you mentioned, the day and date major first party IP is it's a thing that you can do on your PlayStation.
And that won't happen until, again, those IP don't sell gangbusters. Which, another thing to point, because I've seen some people, and I just want to slap them in their dumb mouth, say that Returnal's a failure. They've put
Get out of here.
They said successful new IP, Returnal.
Yeah.
Returnal, Ghost of Tsushima right under it. So they see those IP as doing well for that ecosystem, for their ecosystem. So that's great too. The one thing too is one of the focal points in one of these new segments that they were talking about here is growth between collaborations. And what this exactly means is them partnering with their internal conglomerate. So, we talked about the PlayStation Video Pass that they're testing in Poland. That was on here. They talk about PlayStation Productions, their movies with Uncharted. Where the hell is Sully's goddamn mustache? That's beyond the point. They talk about PlayStation Production TV shows mixed with their movies, their music with the PlayStation launch of Travis Scott collaboration, their TV collaboration where they're bundling PlayStation 5s with Sony Bravia TVs, and then the Play at Home initiative partnering with Funimation. So you're really getting to see for the first time, and I think forever, I've never seen Sony really kind of work in one fluid motion with each other this way. I think that's pretty damn cool. I don't know. Also, the one thing that they talked about here, let me try to get this up. They talked about expanding PlayStation first party, not just partnerships, but expanding PlayStation first party mergers and acquisitions. So again, we talk about Ghost of Tsushima, Returnal being their IP powerhouse. Also mention, Kyle, under the banner of IP powerhouses, you know what game is almost front and center?
Yeah.
But we'll get there. We'll get there later. But Bloodborne's there. I just want you to know that.
Honestly, can I make a point here?
Please.
That is confusing to me a little bit.
Yeah.
Where's Nathan Drake? There's no Uncharted in this banner.
Yeah, and it's now that you say this, it kind of leads into more of like, this is definitely an intern making this slide, this PowerPoint. But
yeah,
nonetheless, Bloodborne is almost front and center. It's almost next to Last of Us. It's next to God of War. So I'm just letting that be pointed out. But they're going to extend their partnerships, mergers and acquisitions. They talk about Project Haven. They talk about Firewalk Studios as well. So those are the partnerships that they're talking about. What those mergers and acquisitions, they keep teasing this, Kyle. They've been teasing it for over a gosh dang year. Just put a ring on Housemarque. Just put a ring on Bluepoint. Please.
Come on.
Please. Now, here's the one thing, though, that we almost skipped out on because we talked about MLB The Show. They are going to develop a live service titles on the console. That worries you. That has to worry you.
Absolutely, yeah. So reading through this and me seeing the develop more live service titles as like first party stuff, that's a bummer. I don't play games for like games as service kind of things. Like those games, for example, like Avengers or Destiny, I'll play for a bit and then I'm done.
Right.
Just because it's not as in depth story wise for me and single player wise for me. Like it's so. Those live as service games are so heavily skewed to playing with friends and playing, multiplayer.
And you like that solo experience.
I like that solo experience. So if they're doing more of those, I'm going to be less and less interested in those things unless they do something like crazy. Like for example, like if this factions multiplayer from Last of Us is big and beefy, and that is like a live as service kind of game that I'd be more into just because I dig that multiplayer style and that kind of style of multiplayer game. So I guess it's a touch and go thing, but more of that when it's already very crowded with service games makes me nervous.
Yeah, it makes me nervous as well because, yeah, you take a look at the graph of like, here's how important these microtransactions are, and it's like literally the bulk of their income. And now, I mean, it's understandable. They want a piece of that pie too. They look at MLB The Show and how successful it is on their platform. They want more of that revenue. So to me, this screams more as whatever Haven is working on, it's multiplayer. And of course, Firewalk, they've already said this is a multiplayer centric game. So as long as it's about building their portfolio, I am totally fine with, or bolstering their portfolio. I'm totally fine with, but I don't think it means, Ghost of Tsushima is going to have microtransactions, but it's always an irrational fear because as gamers, we're always used to the tide of, man, this publisher could do no wrong. And then it's like, hi, Activision Blizzard, we're going to ruin everything. Yeah. And so like, I understand that fear. I don't think it's going to be the bulk of them. I think it's going to be one or two heavy hitters that are going to probably be like a multi-platform or on PC type of thing. Because that's what those types of games need, is the big ass audience. So, yeah. That said, though, that's everything, Kyle.
It's a big, heavy info dump.
A huge one, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you read all this stuff. It seems like we're pretty good in PlayStation Nation.
Yeah, like they mentioned, PlayStation is as good as it's ever has been, and it can only continue to keep going up, in my opinion, with brand new games coming soon and seeing them grow outside of games. And you have the Uncharted movie, you have the Last of Us show, like who knows what other adaptations are going to come out of it. Like it's only going to go up, in my opinion. So PlayStation is happy and healthy. If you're worried about that Schreier article a couple weeks ago, don't. Everything's good in PlayStation land.
He doesn't know jack shit. Only kidding, Jason. We love you. Taking a look at this, I'm very calm, because you get nervous again. Always used to we're used to companies, especially in new generations, going in really great and then messing up completely. I'm really interested now that we've seen Horizon, what they're going to show for us, whenever they announce when they're going to do their Summer Games Fest event. It's going to be, this is an awesome time to be a gamer. And I reiterate this, whether you're on Xbox right now, whether you're on PlayStation right now, you're eating. It's great to be a gamer at the end of the day. So this is awesome. This is great news. And Kyle, I got a piece of news for you that I think you might be pretty interested in. Let's go for it.
Rebecca Smith over at PS Lifestyle writes, rumor, Team Ninja is developing a PS5 exclusive Final Fantasy spin-off game called Final Fantasy Origin. Rumors have begun to spread about a PS5 exclusive Final Fantasy title. Those rumors have gained strength over the weekend as Twitter user @SoulsHunts has leaked more details on the title that is supposedly in development at Team Ninja. The rumors have also since been verified by Fanbyte. The title will reportedly be called Final Fantasy Origin and will be a Souls-like game that takes place, quote, somewhere in or adjacent to, end quote, the world players explored in the first Final Fantasy title that was released on the NES. Souls Hunt compared the game to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that is accessible to a wider audience and doesn't have the difficulty associated with the more traditional Souls-like games. At the moment, the game will be exclusive to PlayStation 5, although there will be a later PC release. And there will be a demo called Stranger in Paradise, released in the summer to gather player feedback. Team Ninja has previous experience with the franchise, having developed Dissidia Final Fantasy NT that was released back in 2018. This team is mostly responsible for the new title, although their staff moves fairly fluidly between their current projects. They may well introduce Neo-esque elements into the title too. Souls Hunt has previously leaked a trailer from Elden Ring, the Legend of Beowulf Season Pass bonus story mission for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and the addition of Legends mode for Ghosts of Tsushima, so he has a track record with inside information. However, as always, take these rumors with a pinch of salt.
No, Rebecca, I disagree. I'm going to run as fast as I can with these rumors, because here's the thing. On Twitter, I woke up one of these days during the week. It's time's an enigma, but I woke up super early and I checked Twitter. It's just natural, and I think I have a problem with Twitter, because I literally, the first thing I do, I'm like, see what's up in the Twitterverse. So I have a problem, and I'm addicted. That being said, it's not going to stop, and it is self-destructive. But I saw someone say a company that is usually really good with leaks has a huge one right now, and they would not be surprised that by the time E3 rolls around, everything's out. Mm-hmm. Like it's circulating within the company. So I don't know if someone dropped a floppy disk or whatever happened. Bring floppy disks back, but like whatever happened, something's happening. And to see immediately the morning after, Team Ninja developing a PlayStation 5 exclusive Final Fantasy spin-off in the vein of a Soulsborne experience. Kyle, you're not a Souls boy like I am. You don't count down the days of which Bloodborne has come out, which it's been 2,255 days since the launch of Bloodborne. Is this the thing that gets you in? Because Star Wars, like, when I hear, it's kind of like Star Wars The Fallen Order, or Jedi Fallen Order, sorry. Well, whoa, that's exciting to me. I want to know where you lie on this. Is this getting you to do the Soulsborne?
I'm excited because of the Fallen Order tie to it, not because I said. Did I not say Fallen Order? I thought I said Fallen Order. Maybe okay, yeah. Okay. I'm more excited for the Fallen Order tie to this game than I am just for a Soulsborne Final Fantasy, because what I really don't want is a ridiculously hard game in the Final Fantasy world that I love so much, and for a genre that I don't enjoy, and having it be in this era of Final Fantasy, which is kind of foreign to me. I never played the first game.
Yeah, because it was on Super Nintendo, right? The first
game the original NES.
But that's when original NES, and that's when this game takes place, is right before
around that time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with that story or that world per se, but any new Final Fantasy has me super excited. I do think that Square Enix might be running into a problem with too much Final Fantasy out there. I feel like with this, with Remake 2, with Final Fantasy 16, with more 14 DLC, Lord knows what other smaller Final Fantasy things that they have planned. It's a lot of Final Fantasy. I just don't want them to run into an Assassin's Creed situation where there's so much that it gets too saturated and players drop off because it's just too much.
The thing that I think that Square thinks, and I'm kind of there with them, is when you take a look at Final Fantasy 7 to Final Fantasy 16.
They are different styles.
They're different styles, right? One's like futuristic, one's like medieval fantasy. And whatever this game has the potential of looking very different because of just the camera angle alone. So I don't think it'll run into that type of fatigue. Also, that's Final Fantasy 14 online is just a juggernaut of a game.
Yeah.
Which is so awesome to see. It's really awesome to see. As I'm a WoW kid. So I've tried 14 once, and I was like, nah. I like the theme park-esque of Azeroth, where like there's no loading screen. You get into that continent and you're there, right? And you could approach a different zone from literally any angle, and there's no loading screen. Sure. It's awesome. But like Final Fantasy 14 is actually kind of getting me in, because like the new job or class, I think it's called the Reaper. literally it's a scythe and it reminds me of Bloodborne, Kyle. And so I'm like, I'm in. So when I think of a possible game from a studio that's known how to do these masochistic games, they even call it masochistic, you know, that's great. It gives me a lot of faith that whatever they have in store is something that I'm actually going to be down with, because, you know, I'm not a big Final Fantasy guy.
Yeah.
But like just a Soulsborne-esque, even if it's a little easier, I'm totally down with. Kyle, question for you, good sir.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly there's a beta or an alpha test in the summer. When's this game coming out? I'll let you think, because I think it's February of next year. That's my first E3 prediction. It's going to be early 2022, which sounds nuts when you say it.
Let me do a quick little Google search.
Okay. Ooh, you're getting real into it. All right.
I'm just trying to see.
Okay. He's really thinking, because I think you can't do it in the fall because Horizon. You can't do it. Oh, yeah. By the way, as we're recording this is a day before the live reacts. So I'm assuming Horizon's in the fall. But you know what? You guys will know. You'll be like, Joe, you literally, first 20 minutes, you said, oh my God. Yeah.
Man, I'm so happy that I got it right on November 12th, 2021 is when Horizon Forbidden West is coming out.
Dude, you right on.
I nailed it, right?
Right, crazy.
I think next fall.
Next fall.
So I'm thinking around, maybe not November, maybe somewhere late September, October, kind of around where Fallen Order actually landed.
Okay.
I just think because you also have the Square Enix game Forspoken, which I'm sure will be out at some point next year.
Yeah.
You also have Final Fantasy 16, which apparently is still this year. Like,
I will believe it when I see it.
Same.
That's why
I don't
I'm
believe
thinking,
that for a
that's
second.
why I'm actually thinking Final Fantasy 16. That's the fall, and it's kind of like a sandwich. You know?
I gotcha.
Because Final Fantasy, this is how I'm thinking of it. Final Fantasy's coming out in November, the holiday, right? The online. And then I would say, a few months afterwards, you have a cross promotion between the games with this new one, this new Soulsborne-esque game, if it's real. And then later that year, end cap, big production, Final Fantasy 16. That's what I'm thinking.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Honestly, this might be the hottest take that you'll hear from me.
Oh, shit.
I just want remake part 2. Really? Like, I'm excited for 16. I truly am. I'm excited for Forspoken. I'm excited to see what this is all about. But give me part 2. I want it. I'm so happy Integrate is coming out very soon, so I'll get to see some new stuff in that world. I'm just... where they ended it off is exactly when the open world opens up, and I know what's coming. I just want to experience it all, Joe. I just want it,
dude. And that's true. It's like, well, oh shit, where would Final Fantasy remake?
Would that be spring of 2023 then?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you why. The Xbox version would probably come out next year, a Final Fantasy VII remake,
and
then. Yeah, and maybe it's on Game Pass, everybody loses their mind. But then Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 would be the next year after that. I think that would make sense.
And have another year of Sony exclusivity again?
Yeah, and then people are going to really real pissed off about it.
Sure.
You just gave us this. I'm like, yeah, it's understandable. Companies make deals. It sucks.
Yeah. Sorry.
If I was a businessman, I'd do the same thing because... It's all about them dollars and cents. At the end of the day, Kyle, are you excited for this? Do you think this is...
Oh, yeah. I'm excited. I'm still going to play it. Will I ever beat it? Who knows? I am a little hesitant, though, because I don't love the way Neo looks from gameplay-wise of things. There's just something about it that is overcomplicated to me. And again, that's from me not playing on the sticks or whatever. So... I could be way out of pocket on that one, but it doesn't seem enticing to me, those games to play.
I think, I get it, because maybe it's the saturated colors, but I'm excited to try this out for sure. And I'm not one of those big, Final Fantasy fans. But again, get me in the door of Soulsborne, I'm in. Hey, Kyle, question. Are you hanging on to something?
I'm sorry, what was that? You cut out.
The drop. Here are the latest deals and steals headed to the PlayStation storefront. And ready. The PlayStation Plus Games of June are here. Operation Tango, a PlayStation 5 version only. Team up to save the world in a competitive spy adventure, challenging you and a friend to join online to complete dangerous missions across the globe in a near high-tech future world. Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown on the PlayStation 4. Sega's iconic one-on-one battler gets remade. Okay, I'm going to drop the voice. For a new generation by Yakuza and Judgment developer Ryuga Goku Studio. If I butchered that, my apologies. This studio's exclusive debut. Don't correct me, Kyle. Don't correct you, son of a bitch. Exclusive debut on PlayStation Plus, allowing virtual fighter veterans and newcomers to experience the intense martial arts combat, deep strategy, and balanced gameplay of groundbreaking 3D fighter in stunning HD. This game will not only be available on PlayStation Plus for about 2 months, from June to July, but will also be releasing on PlayStation Now in June. Kind of weird, kind of redundant, but fine. The last one, Star Wars Squadrons. Master the art of starfighter combat in a frantic multiplayer space dogfights and learn what it means to be a pilot in a thrilling Star Wars single-player story set after the events of Return of the Jedi and seen from the alternating perspectives of the two factions. The New Republic fights for freedom. Nailed it. Kyle, out of all these games, which one are you the most excited to get your hands on?
Probably Squadrons.
Okay.
Because it did look like a lot of fun. Something about Operation Tango, just real quick, because I think you were focusing really hard on the voice. You skipped this sentence.
Yes, yeah, I did. I definitely did.
Operation Tango it's a co-op game, and it requires both players to have access to a working microphone.
Oh,
so
wow.
just be aware of that. You need a working microphone in order to play that game with somebody.
Are we playing this game?
I would love to make a stream of it and yell at each other about hacking into this place.
Great, because I'm completely incompetent when it comes to puzzles. I
would love if we can make it work.
Yeah,
I would love to try to walk you through a keep talking and nobody explodes VR bomb defusal thing. Me from my end with the manuals, and it'll be like, Joe, all right, tell me what you got. And you got to tell me, and I'll have to work it out.
I'm going to frustrate the shit out of you. Our friendship may be over because I'm just that inept. It's like I'm bad at puzzles to begin with. You see me every Resident Evil. I'm like, all right, looking up a guy. I'm looking up a guy. I am not doing this. You're like, Joe, just match the colors. I'm dumb. Yeah, no, I can't do that. But it's cool to see like a nice, neat little indie is here.
Yeah.
I
think it's following the pattern. Maybe not completely, but it seems like every other month we get a brand new indie as part of like the headliner on PS Plus, which I really, really dig. And that was one of the ones that was shown off on that Twitter thread of like, here in the next hour, we're going to show a bunch of cool indies coming to PlayStation. And I believe Operation Tango was a part of that. So that's super cool.
Yeah. Listen, Star Wars, easy. I got Squadrons. I did not get far because I got way too motion sick during it. And I'm talking like first 40 minutes, I had to call it a bust. But if you're into a good flight sim, that game is definitely for you. I'm actually interested to see this Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. It goes to see PlayStation's really doubling down on this fighter business. But I really want to see if this is just a cheap like knockoff or there's actually something here, you know?
Well, Virtua Fighter is a long running fighter.
But like,
so
from what I understand,
it's going to be competent.
No, yeah. From what I understand, though, this one's been in stasis for a minute and a half, and to see that like it got announced literally a few days ago, and then now it's like next week it'll be here for everyone. Just gets me. I'm intrigued by it. I'm intrigued by it. Maybe that's what they need to do because it's not like a Mortal Kombat or something big like that.
Sure.
As a person that I can't even say I'm a novice at fighters. I'm incompetent. But yeah,
the original Virtua Fighter 5 came out in 2006. So it's oh my god, I almost said 25 years. 15 years later,
how old
we're
was
getting an upgraded. In 2006, I was a sophomore in high school.
I think I graduated high school in...
Wait, no. How was a sophomore in college?
Yeah, you were a sophomore in college. I think, Kyle, I'm going to make you feel real old. Are you ready? Now, are you actually holding on to something?
Yeah.
I think I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, my God.
It hurts. I think either
I'm
that
old.
Or sophomore in high school.
Oh, man.
Where if you're a patron, you know that was where I was at my peak worst human being scale. Yeah. So it's been a while. I want to see how this game runs. It's going to be interesting. And also knowing it runs off like the Judgment engine. Interesting. That said, Kyle, we have no questions this week. The Sony Pony Express is on holiday because we delayed this episode a day so that we got to see the Dying Light stuff, the Horizon gameplay and all that.
And Sonic.
So what you been...
We're not live reacting to Sonic, but we'll see it.
Sonic is not worth my damn time. It's not, and we got to stop pretending that it is. All right? Sonic, from here on out, it goes up with banger. That word is banned. That mascot
How dare
banned.
you.
I don't want to hear it.
Please be noted, Joe is the first one to say it on this episode. Actually, I don't know. Maybe during the live reacts, I hit it first. I don't know.
That's true.
Only future Kyle or past Kyle knows now. Wait, where am I? What is this?
Unless we're referencing Jim Carrey, that word is illegal. Kyle, what you been playing, man?
So I've been playing Aerial Knights Never Yield.
I got to play it as well.
Yeah, I adore this game.
So good.
From a gameplay perspective, it is on the simple side. You only really have to worry about either the directional buttons or the face buttons. They each do the same thing.
It's an endless runner, right?
It's an endless runner. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about moving your character. All you have to do is time jumps and slides and sprinting to get through barriers or away from drones or whatnot. And the thing I love the most about this game is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is so good. It's like a hip hop jazz mix, and it's just with some funk in there, and it is just stellar. I adore the soundtrack. I really love the art style too. It's like cel shaded in some parts, and
it's like a neon Tokyo mixed in with Detroit, because that's the city he's from. And so like
absolutely,
that art style is beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. The color palette is gorgeous.
And if you are or if you've watched like the last Nintendo's indie thing, he was previously on there when he showed off the game, and he basically said, not word for word because I'm blanking on the actual quote, but he was saying something like, "This game is me staking a claim in a place that previously didn't have a spot for me. And this is me making my spot, making my mark in this industry." Yeah. And it's amazing. And also I saw a couple days ago that he tweeted like he made this game in his off hours all by himself while he was working 2 jobs. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. Incredible. I love that kind of passion and commitment to doing things that you're super into. The game's great. I believe it's only like $20.
Yeah. No, even less. I believe it's $12.
$12. Okay. Yeah. It's well worth your time. You can beat it within 2 hours ish. It should be an easy platinum trophy.
I'm bad at coordination.
There is a glitched or bug trophy thing where you have to unlock all outfits, and it doesn't pop for some reason. So, but that patch is coming. He reconfirm that as well. In the next couple of days, will be there. But well worth your time. Soundtrack alone, you should go and experience this.
Soundtrack's also on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah. This game is really awesome, especially for how inexpensive it is. It is so worth your time and money. That it is something really cool. I really dig it. Also, we have an extra code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss that into the patron Discord. And
Sweet.
We're going to just bam, first person that picks it gets it. So yeah,
awesome.
Aerial Knights Never Yield. Can't say enough praises. I think it's absolutely great. As a person that sucks at what is it? What did I just say?
Endless Runners.
Endless Runners. Thank you. Someone that absolutely sucks at it. This game really doesn't hold my hand. It challenged me for sure. There were some frustrating parts, absolutely for me, but like I beat it in I think like an hour 45. So it's something you can definitely do. It's something, the experience alone is so worth it. And I love when you're jumping through obstacles, the slow-mo that you have with it too adds to that extra style. This game is just something special. And it's something that I think for me will definitely get to the Game of the Year conversation in terms of like sound design, in terms of music.
Oh yeah.
This one is fucking awesome.
Absolutely.
That said, a game that I will not be talking about on our Game of the Year conversation is a game that I honestly gave a really fair shake to. This is not a review because I have not beaten this game, but I am about 20 hours into it, and I don't think I'm going to go any further. And that is Biomutant. Now, Biomutant, this studio that made this game is about 20-ish people. So I understand that, listen, this game is an indie game. This is not a AAA game, but at the same exact time, it is being sold at that premium price. So that might be getting, alongside that of like what you would see a $60 game being. So I can understand some people's frustration with that. Going into this game, I was like, just how is it on a game's perspective? This is a very divisive game. You're either going to absolutely love it, see past its flaws, or the flaws are going to be the thing that is going to be the barrier. So I'm going to talk about the things I don't like about this game. And Kyle, if I get a little bit too long-winded, please let me know. I gotcha.
Can I start you off with a question?
Please, go for it.
You played this at PAX.
Yes.
Was it last year or 2 years ago?
Before the dark times. Last year.
Before the dark times. How does it feel from that time? Because I know you weren't super hot on it then.
Yeah.
Compared to like the final product.
Definitely has improved for sure. I'll say that. So like the final product, absolutely a better time had than the PAX panel where I was not enthused with it one bit. That said, I want to start with the sound design, because I think that's the thing that I'm having the hardest part with. I'm a stickler when it comes to sound. Y'all know me. I always play with my headphones on. I want to get the best experience that I can. And here, the audio just sounds flat. Like combat, I don't hear like I'm making an impact. When I'm doing sword slashes, it just sounds like I'm making sword slashes and I'm hitting a pillow. It doesn't feel like I'm actually hitting them with like a gigantic, like, two-handed sword, or that like I'm stabbing them with little scimitars. Like it doesn't feel, or the sound doesn't make me feel like I'm making an impact. And that sucks for me combat wise, because I don't really know if I'm hitting my shots or making my shots count. Because good sound design would be like, I charged up my weapon, I gave a mighty whack, and I felt that, and so I know maybe I should back away or whatever have you. I don't have those audio cues that well in this game, because everything just sounds a little muted. That being said, the music as well, very tame, very, very, and to me, I'm like, this is actually somewhere you can actually get, you could build up the atmosphere here, and it also sounds rather muted. And then when it comes to the narration, it's very one note. The narrator is the only voice actor in the game. And this narrator is narrating like it's some fantasy world, which Biomutant is a post-apocalyptic world set where humanity killed themselves off because of global warming and this global catastrophe. And because of that catastrophe, these little rodents now rule the earth. Really cool setup, but it's not really told in the best ways because the narrator is the voice of your internal monologue. He's the voice of every single character in the game. He is the voice of whatever is happening around in the world around you. He's also the voice when it comes to certain directions in the game. And because of my ADHD brain, because it's just one voice constantly, and it constantly talks, I'm often phoning in what's happening because it's just one tone. For example, I take a look at something like Returnal. Returnal is a one voice actress, right? But Celine plays Celine differently. There's different variations of a Celine. Mm-hmm. And so she doesn't talk a lot. So when she talks, you're listening. And sometimes when she talks, it's of complete anguish. And sometimes when she talks, it's just different tones. So I'm listening in. If I'm taking a game like Moss, which follows similar beats as well, where it's one narrator, the narrator is doing different voices for different characters. So you're constantly engaged with what they are saying because of that different voice, those different tones that narrator is pulling off. Because it's one guy, one tone, it's just a drug for me. And when it comes to the open world, Kyle.
So real quick on the narrator stuff, I did watch a review in progress thing, and I saw a clip of it, of this particular issue that you have, and even for me watching it, I was like, oh boy, I don't like it.
Yeah.
What happens in the game is the in-game characters are speaking like gibberish. Yes. But then the narrator then speaks what that character said over it. So you're basically getting two of the same thing, where I think it would have been better where you get the gibberish, right?
Yes.
And then you can read the subtitles, and the narrator does the other things. I think that would have, just from an outside looking in, and haven't played the game, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, and I almost missed that. That was so aggravating. So at times I'm pressing X to skip the gibberish, and I accidentally hit too much, and I skip what's happening, and I was like, all right, whatever, I don't care. When it comes to the open world, too, this game tries to be very ambitious. The game is beautiful when you take a look at it. It really much is, but there's nothing going on. Like, I've run into a few side quests, but it's like go to point A to point B, and the distance to get there, nothing is happening. So my time on the sticks is just me pushing the forward button for about a minute. And from what I've been told, when it comes to open world games, you want every 30 seconds to come across with a decision. I felt like I'm just pressing forward for minutes on end at times, and I don't hit anything. And, you know, they said that this is kind of like Breath of the Wild. I've heard comparisons to nothing of the sort. Get that out of your head. This is more like akin to a Ubisoft or a Shadow of War, where like you're taking over these big castles and then that's your territory now. But even those fortress missions are so bad. Like, you're just walking to a room, there's a fight or a puzzle or a little combination of two, or a really bad boss encounter, and then you're done. Where in like Shadow of Mordor, you're actually scaling buildings, you're scaling the towers itself, and like fighting people on the ramparts. It's nothing. It's just like one hallway, nothing feels, and I hate to say it, but like lived in. So gotcha. Yeah, the open world as well, just there's not enough going on for me.
How does this game feel gameplay wise when it comes to mechanics? Because one of the things whenever I hear this game and I hear how much stuff they were planning on doing, like it feels like it takes inspiration from like 50 million games at once, and they all made the final cut. Yes. Is it too much? As like in my eyes before this, like this seems like a lot to wrap my head around.
So great point, Kyle. And this is something that I said in my tweet. The game gets lost in its scope. It tries to say, we're going to be a little bit of everything. We're going to give you some Devil May Cry combat, which, honest to God, the best part of this game. Combat is, when it's there, great. Really good. And like, to me, I wanted to be full melee. And there is like this Devil May Cry where you can knock people into the air, depending on your class. I was a Saboteur, I think. Or no, Sentinel.
As a saboteur first, didn't like it. Sentinel, I liked. You can knock them in the air and have those parries. Even then, like, the combat has room to improve, but I don't want to be too negative on it because I do think it's a good foundation for this game. And if they were just like, we're going to make a small linear experience and this is the game right here, is this just this combat? Awesome. But because they try to do so much and have so many systems in place, like there's a crafting system that is cool when you think about it because you're crafting all your weapons, you're crafting all your armor, but the economy of that is just completely broken. And there's so many little items that I need that I'm lost of like, where do I find these things? I get lost in the menus of like, how many ability points do I actually have to spend on my class, to spend on its moveset, to spend on all this? I'm constantly pressing the pause button. And then they even offered mech combat as well, Kyle. And the mech combat, from what I've experienced, not good. So it really tries to do so much, and it, for me, failed on a lot of those things. So I think the saving grace for this game is the combat. And I think that's the thing, is like, if you love the combat, which is, again, has a lot of promise, you could forgive a lot of its misgivings. But at the end of the day, this game is just so flawed. I again, not a review, more like of an impression, but from what I've played so far, I don't think I'm going any further. So
it's a bummer.
It's a bummer because I really wanted to root for this team. When people go, "Oh, it's a team," Joe, please keep in mind it's an indie team. Sure, it's an indie team, but like an indie team also made Hades, right? Like, there have been games out there that understood what they wanted to be and fucking excelled at those things. So like, yeah, you may have had a bigger budget than the Hades team, but like this team revolutionized a genre, right? So yeah. I don't think just because they're a small team, unfortunately, they get the slack. I do think there's a lot here that even people that are naive to that, don't know that, and go, I just paid $60 for what they thought was a AAA game and not. They're going to be let down by, and that sucks. So this is definitely a wait for sale if I were to recommend it, which I don't.
Yeah, but from what I've heard, you know what isn't an overcomplicated game? The game of dodgeball.
This is why you're the best co-host, Kyle. What a segue. Oh, let's talk about Knockout City, Kyle. Let's talk about it.
I want to take the stage for a quick second.
Please. I talked for way too long.
Kyle Andrew Stevenson.
That's your middle name?
Yeah. That's the name my mom yells when I'm in trouble. To this day, as a 34-year-old man, I still get yelled at by my middle name. Kyle Andrew Stevenson, would like to extend my sincerest and most heartfelt apologies to Velen Studios for me not believing in this game, thinking that it's not going to be any good, and writing it off from the moment I saw it. Knockout City is so damn fun and so easy to pick up and learn the mechanics and play. And even when you are just playing surface level, once you dig into it and you realize there's a pump fake, there are different ways to power up your ball and throw your teammate in the air as a ball and drop a bomb and to do a big area of effect knockout thing. The game is very deep and the style is there. Shout out to you, Velen Studios, for the only other thing that I believe you've done is Mario Kart Live Circuit, the toy thing. Shout out to you. I am so sorry for writing you off before even playing it. I'm so happy as well. Like, they made that decision to be like, here's 10 free days of play to see if you love it. And you know what I did? I bought it immediately after that first couple hours I was playing it on stream for the charity thing we did over at 61 Indie. I was like, you know what? I'm rewarding you for buying this game because it's fucking dope. Yeah. I love Knockout City. It's so much fun.
Dude, it is so, and you said it, like, this is like a futuristic, like, 50s aesthetic. Yeah. Where, like if you take a look at, like, an old almanac, right? We're Back to the Future references wild here. And, like, you take a look at what a car in the future that they would think would be, that's what it is in
Knockout City. This game
so
is
with like
awesome.
greaser leather jackets,
greasy leather jackets. You got the floating 50s Chevy. Like everything is so. The style's there. I get a lot of like. Oh, it's kind of like what was that? What was that Xbox game that bombed real bad? It was made by Ninja Theory. And I just don't agree with that. It looks at whatever the case may be. Someone will correct me in the comments. I think this art style is pretty unique for what it is. Yeah, I know. You got it too.
The character fighter.
Yes, the character fighter. You know, I see where people think of a Splatoon as well. Because Bleeding Edge. Thank you. Because it's pretty cartoony, and the multiplayer is that of like it is like a team deathmatch type of game, but. You're really just, it's not about killing people. It's just knocking them out with dumb, stupid dodgeballs that have special abilities. Like one's a sniper dodgeball that you get. One's a straight up bomb. Like some's like multi-ball where like there's balls orbiting you and you're just throwing them everywhere. This game, you could pick it up if you're a kid, if you're picking it up just like for, a grown ass man like me. And there's just you can have 5 minutes of fun if you want, but then you can learn. Yeah, I could if I jump in the air and I do a little twist, I can actually throw a curveball. Or hey, if I jump in the air and I do a spin, I could throw a what is that?
A hammer ball.
A hammer ball.
It's like straight down.
Yeah, like that's awesome. And
you press R3 and it's a pump fake, and like you could fake somebody out to press the catch button early, so that way you could just throw it real light and knock them out.
Man, like it's such a simple game when you're describing it, and you're like, how can this be fun?
Yeah, it's dodgeball. Throw a ball, get hit, you're out.
But like when you get the controller in your hands, the feeling is just so much fun, and it is at times really high stakes where like. It's a game where, for example, the KO version, the first to 10, you could literally come back if you're like, 7, eliminations behind. Like it's that type of game where like you could
before we sat down to record, I was playing a game with some random people on the internet. We were down by 3. I balled myself up. My teammate threw me in the air, and I got all 3 of them in the area of effect, like knockout, and we won the game.
That's awesome.
Like you are never out of the game if you could play it smart, and teamwork is the key. If you are alone with the 3, because it's 3v3, there's a 4v4 mode. But like if you are alone with the entire other team, they're going to tackle you and knock you off balance, and you're going to be out very quickly. Yeah. It's not going to be a good time. So you need to work together as a team first and foremost with this one.
Honest to God, if I thought one of my favorite games this year was a dodgeball game,
Can I tell you my favorite part about this game?
Go for it.
And it's so silly. There are 2 actually. First is when you get a really long curve shot around a wall, and you see the silhouette of the character like far beyond the wall as the ball curves around it and hits them, and you hear the whack.
Yeah.
The whack is my favorite part.
Yeah.
Because it brings me back to gym class of throwing those dodgeballs. They nailed that sound perfectly.
Like
I can imagine like it's not a hard sound.
Glasses and he goes flying back.
Listen, maybe in your high school self did that, not me. I would go after the jocks.
I would team up with the jocks. It's just survival of the fittest.
That sound just brought me back, and it's so nostalgic, and I love it. Just plastic rubber ball against flesh, and just the thwack is so good. So good.
I think there's a dark side to you, Kyle. I think there's a dark side to you. Yeah.
In dodgeball, all rules are off. So I don't play no games when it comes to dodgeball. Fair. Same thing with kickball too. I will throw a ball at a little kid running first base.
Dude, what
I will
peg
them to get him out.
We
play all the time in summer camp.
After 5th grade, they're like, no more kickball. I'm like, but kickball, I was really good at it. Because I was a big kid then, like I'm a big kid now, and I'm very low center of gravity. I got big calves because I got to hulk my big body. Yeah, and so I just wail it, bam! I was a home run every time. They go, Joe, go clean the bases. That's what I do. Bring kickball back. Make a kickball game.
Ooh.
Balance Studios. I'm looking at you.
You know what? Just bring back the backyard sports games, like backyard baseball and backyard football. I want those games back, but make it into a kickball game. Yeah, that'd be.
Also,
that'd
can I
be
call
super
out
fun.
someone 20 plus years?
Yeah, go for it.
Peyton Doko, I'm looking at you, dude. You stole my fucking backyard baseball, you son of a bitch. You stole it, and I want it back. All right.
What system?
It was on my Game Boy Advance.
Oh, how could you?
And I had a girl named Allison, and she was a freaking beast, dude. She was like, and it's always funny because like she's like, you know, like a little girl with this huge bat, and I'm like, yep, this is the girl. She's cleaning the bases. Every time she was on base, I think she had like 74 home runs in one season, Kyle. Like she was just clearing them out, and he stole that game from me. Peyton, you're on notice. Okay.
Shout out to
Yes.
Pablo Sanchez.
Yeah.
An absolute legend in the backyard baseball as far as like a character goes.
Absolutely.
The best of all time.
The pinnacle.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Kyle, that has been the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast. Before we go, is there anything you'd like to spotlight before you leave?
Sure. I like to spotlight myself, Mr. KSEP, on Twitter and on PSN. You can follow me over at 61indie.com and 61indie on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, all the things 61indie for indie game news coverage and the podcast that I do over there. Guest spots. I've been doing a lot of guest spots on podcasting. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll find all those links. I was recently on the Burnout Brighter podcast with Matt and Darren. I had a great time there. I had, spoiler alert, I had a couple of PlayStation E3 predictions over there that got a little crazy. So you can go check that out. And I'll be somewhere, I hope, fingers crossed, this weekend. So again, check out my Twitter for all that.
Yeah. And you can find me over at Mr. Badbit, where sometimes I post some funny stuff, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I try to meme and it fails real bad. And you can follow the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, on Twitter at PS Trophy Room. And I'll reiterate this. Make sure you're following PS Trophy Room on Twitter so that you know when sometimes we have to delay a show or sometimes we get an extra show this week, depending on what type of news PlayStation drops. Yes, Kyle Stevenson from the PlayStation Trophy Room?
If you're listening to this the day it comes out, hit us up over at twitch.tv/PS Trophy Room because we're going to live react to Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
Gameplay reveal. So a little bonus live react because apparently E3 starting this week.
Started early.
Yeah.
It started early. With all that said, with all that out of the way, make sure you're also rating us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts because we've gotten a flood of love. We've gotten, first off, we're doing a Ratchet and Clank giveaway. So if we reach 200 reviews, we will give away a copy of Ratchet and Clank A Rift Apart. And guess what, Kyle? We're at 210 reviews worldwide on Apple Podcasts. Can I get crazy here? Can I do something even crazier?
Can
I say if we get to 250, we give away another copy of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart?
What? Absolutely.
Bam.
Absolutely.
We only need 40 more reviews. And honestly, we hit the number 200 that I didn't even think we were going to hit. But we hit it so fast that we need another number to hit. So if we hit 250 reviews worldwide on Apple Podcasts, we're not just giving away 1 copy of Ratchet and Clank. We're giving away 2 copies of Ratchet and Clank. And I just want to spotlight one person in particular, or a few people, who gave us some really, really awesome reviews. One of which comes from, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but Ricky's from Wales. He says, an absolute banger. Sir, you can leave. But they said, should be the most famous podcast you've ever likely to meet. We got this review from our very beautiful boy, Mario Rivera, that says, this podcast rules, 5 stars. That Joe guy is a sex machine. Come for the PlayStation news and commentary, but come for the boys.
Hell yeah.
And last but not least, I want to shout out a review over from Nate McErney. He's been a long time listener of this show. He gave us 5 stars. He says, do you want to know how much I like this podcast? I hate Apple products, yet I downloaded iTunes on my computer, found out what my Apple ID was, Turns out it was linked to an old email, so I had to get the email password reset. And then once that was done, I had to reset my Apple password just so I could write a review. It was quite an ordeal, but at the minimum, Joe and Kyle deserve the effort. They are a great duo, playing off each other like other classic duos such as Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell, and Millie Vanilli. And you can't have Millie without Vanilli. You just don't even try. Anyway, back to his review. They managed to fill an hour plus with great PlayStation content featuring great analysis and opinions. There are many worse ways to spend an hour plus of your time, including watching paint dry, doing garden work, watching any of the Human Centipede movies, but don't do those. Instead, listen to the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast. Now, how do I get iTunes installed?
Love you, Nate. That was amazing.
That was amazing. That was one of my favorites. And every week we're going to at least shout out 2 of y'all that do post 5-star reviews over on Apple Podcasts. So again, thank you all so much for your support over the past few weeks. It's like it's been victory laps after victory laps, it feels. So we love you all so very much. All that said, with all that out of the way, keep your wits about you, keep hunting, and keep playing PlayStation. See you guys.